sound. All right. Hello, everyone. This is me, LaTara, Venise, soul care provider and the founder of Color Your Soul, where we help you to have necessary conversations around the stories of your life for mental and emotional balance. And I'm here today with another one of our, Color Your Soul participants in the flow. Because one thing about Color Your Soul, you honestly cannot do it just once. You gotta keep doing it. And again, right? So we are here with Jasmine Tosseth-Smith, and I'm super excited to be talking to her today. Just about how her soul has been colored. I can remember when I first met Jasmine, and I just gathered this woman who wanted to be in control, right?
Oh, yeah.
From the first conversation we had, which I think you want to collaborate, I believe. And I was like, I don't know you. That was my thought, like, I don't know you, right? But I think it was just a way for you to kind of get in and kind of get a feel for people and kind of figure out, what does this look like? And I was so protective over my vision at the time. I was just like, nah, I can't be collaborating with a whole lot of people. So, and then you moved to Oklahoma, and I think we met sometime later.
The retreat.
The retreat was the first time we met.
In person.
In person, yeah. So tell me about what your journey has been like just before Color Your Soul. Tell us a little bit about where you were, because you were like, I'm healed, I'm good, I'm straight. Tell us what that was like.
Oh my gosh. So before Color Your Soul, I guess a few years prior, I was in a very abusive relationship, just mentally, physically, emotionally, all the ways it could be toxic, it was toxic. And it was toxic on both sides. Like, it was just to where, we were both not good for each other. But I was like, well, I've got these 2 babies with the man, and so, I'm gonna make it work. And so that relationship ended in spectacular fashion, with him trying to burn the house down and commit murder-suicide. So it imploded on itself. And so at the end of that relationship, because up to that point, I always defined myself by whatever relationship I was in, I had no idea who I was, what to do. I was a single mom with these 3 kids all of a sudden. All 3 kids, well, the baby was 10 months old, but they still go through trauma. So 3 kids that had gone through trauma, no less. I'd been through my own trauma. I'm like, I don't even know how to be me, let alone parent y'all. And so that journey led me into counseling, like physically going to counseling, which then led me to having a parent aide come in and physically walk me through the day-to-day business of being a mother. And it was her that asked me the question, well, now you have a blank slate that's completely clear. Who do you want to be? And so that question was the catalyst to me starting to work on my stuff, starting to figure out who I am and process through the trauma and process through the grief and help, and get my kids in counseling and do all the things that I needed to do to get back on track, to get a job, to, find a roof over our heads again. And so at the time when I was introduced to Color Your Soul was like 4 years after that. So in my mind, I'm like, what you mean? Like, I did all this work. Like, do you know what a mess I was? I tried to suicide. I was homeless. I didn't have it. Like, so 4 years later, I'm remarried. I'm now living in Oklahoma. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Of course I'm healed. I'm fine. I'm fabulous. Let's keep it moving. I've done all the healing stuff that I need to do. What do you mean? So I was a little full of myself that way. Thinking that I had arrived, but not feeling like I had arrived. And I think that was kind of why color your soul? Like, I felt like I've done all this work and I've got so far, but why don't I feel like I've gotten as far as I've gotten? Like, it felt like I had plateaued somewhere, and I'm like, there must be more, but I didn't know what more was, or I didn't know what more looked like. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, did you see the mess I was? So this person is a 180 degree from that person, so I must be good. Not realizing that 180 from that person doesn't mean that I'm good.
That's good.
It just means I'm better. It means I'm in process. It means I'm getting better.
Right. That's good. I love that. And what I also love is you mentioned a couple of things like trauma, you mentioned counseling. And I know a lot about trauma because same thing with me and both of my children too. So I know a lot about that process. I also know a whole lot about counseling. I think counseling is necessary. I really think it's a necessary tool. But I really believe, without a doubt, I know now that there's a deeper level. There's a kingdom level of healing, and most counselors don't have that because they don't operate in it, right? Because they just don't. They're not Christian counselors, and even some Christian counselors don't do that work. And so now Color Your Soul is not doing the work, it's the Holy Spirit doing the work. Color Your Soul is simply a vessel, right? So when you took the very first detox, right? You came in, I'm healed, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, right? Because, I want to see, really, I think you wanted to see what it was about, right? So you came into the process, right? And you had to admit something to me. What did you have to admit? And how did that first detox hit you?
Oh man. So my initial goal coming in was to just skirt the system. I was just going to say the right things at the right time, stand up when I should, sit down when I should, and just pretty much play the system just because I just wanted to see what the system looked like. Yeah, that's not how that worked out. Whew, that is not how that worked out.
Yes, child.
Because even though I wanted to play the system, like I said, there was a part of me that knew that there was more. And so I did actually start to do the work. And so in doing the work, I think it was a day 3 or day 4, I think, when I messaged you, I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, when you felt like you was losing control.
Yeah, I felt like I was losing control. And it was the scariest thing because again, I came in like, oh, I got this. I've been doing this. And so it was scary to feel like, whoa, like there is so many more layers to this thing. Like I'm healed like here, but all of this stuff is what started to come up and what started to come out. And so it was scary at first, like, oh my gosh, like what am I, and I paid for this? What? But it was also just so cleansing. It was cleansing to finally look at that stuff and to be like, you know what? I don't have my poop in a group. Like, well, that I'm better, but it's a process.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the key was understanding that what I was missing was that it was a process. It's not a destination that I was like, oh, I'm here. I've arrived.
That's good. Yes.
No, like it's a continual process, and that if I do the work, into the process, then the healing that I'm looking for comes with that. And so, and I think too, just the best thing about it, and letting myself go to that place, letting myself be that vulnerable and let Holy Spirit do his work, is that the person I was looking for when my parent aide asked me that question, now I'm starting to see who she is. Like I'm starting to be like, this is, so all those 4 years where it was all the surface healing, and putting on several masks to cover the ugly, to pretty it up, I'm starting to kind of peel goes back. I've let go of some, working on others. But I'm finally like, like this is what it feels like to start feeling whole, but without having to fake it, without pretending that you got it all together.
That's good. I love that. I love where you said healing is not a destination, it's a process. Oh my God. That's like, people need to really understand that, because what happens when a lot of people get into soul detox, we had it this time. We had 2 people specifically, they got their breakthrough and they disappeared. Got my breakthrough, I'm done. And they disappeared. They didn't show up for no more of the Sunday sessions. They didn't show up for no more of the work. They weren't participating with the comments, and they were active. But once they got that breakthrough, they just did a ghost. Right. And I was like, yeah, they'll be back. Right. So that's what I'm learning, because we've got to understand that this process of healing, like you said, it has layers. You know why it has layers? As old as you are, that's how long it's taken the layers to lay up like that. Right. So whereas for my 16-year-old, his healing process may not take as long as mine, and he'll never be at a destination because there'll always be something. Right. But the goal is to teach you a habit of healing. Why? Because we'll always need to heal. Right. I mean,
sometimes it's moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
Tools that you've taught me that, save me from popping off on people at work day by day. But it's learning those tools.
Yes, those tools. Paying attention, right? I love it. I love that. And people need to really understand that. Just because you get a breakthrough does not mean you still don't have a wall to deal with. Just because you have a breakthrough does not mean you ain't about to fall when you step over through that hole that you broke through. So you need to really pay attention to those kind of things. So thank you for sharing that. I want to talk about one more thing before we get off of here, because you're one of the few people who've done a visualization session with me, right?
Oh my God.
And I remember one of the things that I do is I always tell people, I want you to write in your journal what you want from this visualization, right? And I don't ask you before, I don't ask you after. I don't ask you. I ask you, what did you experience, right? What was that like for you? Okay. So I want you to explain a little bit, because some people really think visualization is a new age technique. It's not. It is an age-old biblical tool for not just healing, but envisioning with God. So what was that like for you?
I mean, like you said, you didn't know any of the stuff that I'd written down, but I mean, it was a whole bunch, but the main thing that I circled in big bold letters was, I just want to know that you love me. That's it. Like, if nothing else from this visualization, that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. And so I got that and more, but it was just, it was nice to be able to be quiet, first of all. Like, just get into that quiet space, drown everything, like just not paying attention to everything else. And then I think too, you just do a good job of like ushering me into his presence. Like, it wasn't like all of a sudden, it wasn't like, okay, you're here now. It was just like this gradual, like walking into his presence and paying attention to him being there. And also, it was just very non-threatening. I think too, when we think visualization, we think we have to do, I don't know, all these 50,000 11 rituals and burn some sage. And no, it's really at its core about sitting in his presence. And I think sometimes, like was in my case with that, you need somebody to help you do it. Because we're not in the habit of doing it. It's not a practice that we do. And like you said, we've been so frightened by it being so new agey that we avoid it. But at its root, at its core, it's about presence. It's about communion with God. And like you said, he gave us imagination. He gave us that space to be with him, to see what he sees, to see how he sees us, to give us a glimpse of all of that. And so the enemy's done a good job with pushing a new age and scaring us that and distorting how we should be using it.
Yeah.
So it was good to actually go through a visualization the way it was intended, the way it's supposed to be, without all the ritual and all the nonsense and all the and just be like, listen, I'm just ushering you into his presence. And then once you're there, I mean, I'm still here, but I'm gonna let him do what he do, because that's between you and him. But I'm just a vessel to help you get there. I get it, you don't know how. And I think a residual from that visualization is that I am able to do it easier on my own. Like, because you walked me through the process, there's been times when I'm like, okay, listen, I just need you to hold me. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I need to sit in your lap. But because I've gone through with you, like, what an actual visualization should be, I can, on my own, find his presence and have a deeper relationship with him like that, without it being, having to stage and find a crystal and like, what?
You don't need to take all of that. Just go in. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Jasmine, I want to thank you for just sharing this with me, because it's so important for me. I do these interviews not just for others, but so that I can see how you all are growing, what it is. I mean, you've not only gone through Soul Detox, you've become you're now a soul care practitioner, learning that process, and a certified soul care practitioner. You're still doing soul detoxes. You've been to retreats. I mean, it's just, and I all I do is show up. That's all I do. I just show up. So when I get the feedback, it's so resourceful for me. I probably cry when I'm on my 21-day fast or whatever, But, I just don't do it right now. I learned how to manage all of that. So I want to thank you. Before we get off of here, let people know who you are. By the way, she's a part of the team now. She's a part of the Color Your Soul team. She is the new digital media manager. So she'll be handling a lot of the graphics you see, helping me to update that and making sure the brand stays relevant with pictures and images. And it's cool because you and Brayhan get to work together, because he has to schedule all that stuff out. So that's going to be really cool, how it all works together. I love it. Love it. Super excited. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how we can find you.
Okay. And I am super excited for that, because I'm all about Color Your Soul. I do think it's so necessary. Like, I'm telling people about it all the time, but I think it's so necessary, just as a nation, as people, as women, as coaches. We are all going through an identity crisis, all of us. And so I think just what you do is so needed and so necessary to bring us back into right identity and right focus, and actually understand that caring for our souls is a part of that. But what it is that I do. So I am the founder and owner of the Everyday Crown Rocker magazine. It's a digital magazine for Christian women, and it is to help support, encourage, uplift, and help other women just create Christian lives that matter in relationship with Christ, as daughters of Christ. And then I help online small businesses and coaches get over the overwhelm and the stress of their digital publications by helping them create workbooks, worksheets, newsletters, all of that fun stuff. So all the creative part of your business, all the graphics and course books and welcome packets, all that, I help create that so that it's all one cohesive look, one cohesive style, and then you don't have to worry about it. So,
well, thank you, Jesus. I have been doing that forever because I didn't trust anybody with my brand, and I'm picky about my stuff, right? So I just was like, okay, I just think it's time, So thank you, Jasmine, so much. And thank you all for watching. This has been another CYS interview, and we look forward to bringing you another one next month. Bye-bye.